Okay, I'm
Like, if
starting.
this is a short episode, it's a short episode. We're not dragging it out any more than it needs to be.
Yeah, I'm starting the thing up now. Yeah, we should be. Yeah, we're live now.
Cool.
Good evening, everyone. This is yet another episode of Storytime with Scrappy and Friends. I am ScrappyFan92, and today with me are Harry, Edriva, Raideran, possibly Cadian, and Joey here early for once.
Yeah, I know, right? I was here first.
Oh no, Mario!
Back.
Yes, back by some demand, the quote-unquote B team, as they apparently call themselves.
B team.
Their name, not mine.
Let's go B team.
Yeah, where can I get a t-shirt with that one?
Let's make it.
Fucking Redbubble.
So,
Steve's brain B team.
B team.
yeah. Yesterday we read a few Touhou project stories, and we stopped partway through the second story because, well, I had to eat. So today we are back to finish the third and final chapter of Hungry Bookworm's Astrophobia. If you want to know what astrophobia is about, watch the previous episode. If you'd like to know what Touhou Project is about, watch the previous episode. Not that it'll help you much.
Basically, watch the previous episode before watching this one.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes. If you're watching live, close the stream right now and deplete our view count so you can watch the prior episode.
Yeah.
Hey, listen! Have you tried watching the previous episode? Press the jump button to jump! Oh, fuck. Pepsi did not like my
Oh.
joke. I think my cat got caught in the crossfire.
Oh no. Pepsi took your cat.
No.
Billy, no! You'll get damp!
Isn't that the name of one of your brothers?
My only brother.
You have a brother?
Yeah. I've also got a cat with the same fucking name.
People have brothers?
Relative?
Oh, I've got one, but he lives in China. Does that count?
No,
Yes.
China doesn't exist. Oh, you got covered in Pepsi, you stupid cat.
Jeez, Joey.
Things are already starting off great today, I see.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, this is Astrophobia, Chapter 3, Respite.
Cat's no longer in my room. Stream is now worse.
Yeah, just for... Pardon me. So yeah, long story short, Reimu got struck by lightning, Sanai saved her, Marisa is taking her home. And now we get into the chapter proper.
We got pulled into something. We got pulled into one of Yukari's portals.
Yeah, the gap.
Am I supposed to have a character for this?
I mean,
no.
you can
Well,
take one if you'd like.
Yeah, you just kind of came in at the last second last time, so.
You can steal one of the extras. There's Hikaru, Sanai, and Ran. They're kind of being thrown around.
You can take Sanai.
Yay! I have no idea who this
Congrats,
character
you're a green-haired anime girl.
is.
That
Okay,
immediately
I can
makes
make
you
that
the
work.
best.
I can make that work. And I'm not going to make him smoke 40 a day, because that joke's kind of getting old.
So, we start with Chapter 3, Respite. 2 weeks later, April 12th, 2008. A beautiful blue sky covered Gensokyo. Marisa watched it from the Hakure Shrine porch, enjoying the early spring sunlight warming her legs. She'd spent most of the morning cleaning up the damage in her home, and was glad to get outside and away from it all. 2 weeks had passed, but there was still no end to the damp and rot and general wet smell that lingered around the ground floor. The water had seeped into her trunk, as she feared, and most of her grimoires were ruined beyond repair. The books she'd borrowed from Alice and Pacioli weren't looking any better, but they didn't have to know about that. Not yet. That fateful night, Yukari had pulled them into a gap and dropped them off at the Hakure Shrine. Marisa had wanted to stay with Reimu, but Yukari had ordered her to head home. Stay away for a while, she'd told her, prizing, pulling Reimu out of her arms. Oh, what am I hearing?
Munchies, I guess.
This has become an ASMR stream. Welcome to my ASMR stream.
This was always an ASMR stream.
Please
Also,
mute.
I don't think any of us own a 3DO, so
No.
not
No.
the console, the microphone.
Please mute your mic if you're going to eat.
That's the head-shaped microphone, isn't it?
Yes.
The weird thing with the ears, yeah.
Yeah.
Stay away for a while, she'd told her, pulling Reimu out of her arms. Or else. Marisa had put up a fight, of course, but it was no use. Seconds later, she was teleported outside her house.
Not like I had the time anyway.
Marisa muttered to herself. A while had turned out to mean however long it took for Reimu to be let out of the hospital. Marisa had tried approaching Ayente a few times when her patience grew thin, but was always turned back without even a glimpse.
Oh, okay. She needs rest. Oh, wait, that's an Aaron voice. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You coming up with one real quick?
He needs rest. I don't know. Fuck, what do I? I don't.
Who needs
That's what you should say.
Fucking min.
Aaron would say and shoo her away. One evening, Rayson had frog marched her off the premises into the bamboo forest, and the two had gotten lost for 3 hours. As the fortnight stretched on, cleaning had become a welcome distraction from the mess of thoughts and feelings running through Marisa's mind.
I just want
The
to say
terror-
this: the Fortnite has just become a cursed
Oh.
word now. Like
As the
I
Fortnite
remember,
stretched on.
I remember I reading this chapter like a couple days ago, and when I saw Fortnite, I was just like, why?
Blinked and saw the towers.
Yeah. God damn it, dude.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Marissa just
As-
starts Fortnite dancing after finding out Reimu's okay.
Yeah, I can imagine that. As the 2 weeks stretched on, cleaning had become a welcome distraction from the mess of thoughts and feelings running through Marisa's mind. The terror of almost losing Reimu, the humiliation of Sanai being the hero, the surge of love and relief she'd felt as she held her friend. The emotions seemed to strengthen as time passed, and she almost felt afraid of facing Reimu again. Marisa would lie awake at night, worrying about her. Was she bored at the hospital? Was she in pain? Would she be herself when she came out? What if she was brain damaged, or paralyzed, or in pain for the rest of her life? She even rented a few books on thunderstorms, and pored over the sections dedicated to lightning strike victims. She felt pathetic. And now, rumor had it Reimu was well enough to leave the hospital. Marisa had flown over to the shrine that morning, unable to wait any longer. Of course, Reimu hadn't returned yet. Any other day, and Marisa would have wandered off somewhere else. But she needed to see Reimu smile. Regardless of how they acted around each other from now on, Marisa needed to know Reimu was okay. So she waited, for hours and hours and hours. A crunch of gravel. Marisa glanced up, only to see Sanai waving at her beneath the torii gate. She waved back, smiling to hide her disappointment. Sanai placed a small bag on the porch and looked around optimistically.
Is Rimmer-san here? I brought snacks.
Nope.
Marisa reached for the bag, hungry.
We'll look after them while she's gone.
You don't have to. It's okay.
Sanai snatched the bag away. She still wasn't sure how to handle Marisa.
Do you know when she'll be back?
No idea.
Oh, she's okay.
She's Reimu. She'll be fine. Now tell me about the culprit.
Marissa leaned forward. She hadn't seen Sanai at all for the last 2 weeks. They'd both been busy.
Who was it? Anyone we know?
I'm glad you don't think it's our shrine.
Said Sanai, smiling sadly.
Obviously. What would you get out of flooding Gensokyo? You're not desperate for faith or anything.
And the Morias wouldn't kill Reimu, no matter how bad things got between them.
So who done it?
It was young dragon god. I didn't have time to talk to them. We fought using spell card rules and I won. I actually won.
Sanai's expression brightened.
Against the dragon.
Great.
And afterwards, this woman in purple showed up. She said she needed to deal with the dragon, pushed me away, and suddenly I was back in my room.
No prizes for guessing who that was.
You've never met Yukari before, have you?
She showed up at our shrine a few hours later. She told me you and Rimuru-san were safe, and I asked her, and asked me to explain what I did.
So what did you do?
Marissa wanted to know.
To save Reimu, I mean.
I didn't use a miracle to bring her back to life. That would have been impossible for me. I used a miracle to make the CPR work, if that makes sense.
Sanai grinned.
I used the faith you gave me to increase its odds of working, and then I brought back Reimu-san.
Right.
Marissa wasn't quite following her.
If you hadn't been there, Reimu-san would have probably still be dead.
If you hadn't been there, she'd definitely still be dead. I don't know any of that stuff.
Marissa felt her heart sink. She'd been trying to forget that fact.
But hey, I don't mind taking all the credit. Reimu can owe me one.
Marissa-san.
She sounded serious. Marissa readied herself.
Yeah?
Are you in love with her?
What? Love?
Marissa laughed.
No way.
I heard all your prayers. I mean, I know you probably didn't realize it, and maybe I should have warned you first, but since I'm a god, I need to know what people are worshipping me for, so...
She heard all that? Marissa felt her face go red.
Don't listen in on that stuff.
I'm sorry! It was an emergency!
Marissa looked away, mortified.
Anyway, I should try talking to Heriki God while I'm still here.
Sanai stood up, eager to change the subject.
The Hall of Worship behind the donation box, right?
I think so. Might be another storeroom, though. It's hard to tell.
Alright, excuse me.
Sanai trotted over. Marissa watched her and hoped Reimu would be back before sunset. Her nerves were killing her.
I think I'm just gonna go with a different Aaron voice. Frankly, I'm amazed.
There it is. Let's go. Let's go.
I have got to bring women onto this show.
Yes! Yes!
Frankly, I'm amazed.
Haven't we tried that like several times?
Once. Literally once.
Make her
Twice.
voice everybody because there's only female characters in this cast.
Yeah. I mean, have we ever like gone to ask Maddie?
Yes, I've asked Maddie multiple times. She's either busy or just wasn't interested.
I see.
So I'll ask her again down the line. But
To be fair, Maddie has things, so you know.
Right.
Frankly, I'm amazed, said Erin Yakakoro, tossing her notes onto the desk.
I've never seen a human get hit by lightning mid-flight and live to tell the tale, let alone one free of serious neurological damage.
She was revived by a miracle worker, replied Yukari Yakumo. I'd expect nothing less. They were sitting in Erin's surgery room, the sunlight pouring in through the round windows. The weather had been fair ever since the rain stopped, and Yukari found it a welcome relief. Dr. Yakakoro was the best in Gensokyo, but was clearly not happy to be alone with a Gap yokai. A shame. Yukari had thought she was intelligent enough to not to hold petty grudges. The Lunar War was quite a while ago, after all.
We've kept a close eye on her, as you requested. No visitors, no one who might confuse her. She says she's not in any pain and can move normally, if a bit slowly. Her burns will remain as scars, of course, but that's a small price to pay considering what happened.
This sounds like a genuine, like, Clone Wars or something.
Yeah, that's the best part.
There's a different reference I'm going for.
Okay.
Of course. Humans were weak. A small nick to the skin could stay with them forever. Yukari forgot that sometimes.
I could remove them if I had the equipment.
Said Arian with a sigh.
I could do a lot of things if I had the equipment.
I'm sorry Tokyo isn't quite as advanced as the moon, said Yukari with a smile. Arian ignored that.
There's a strong possibility there are complications we aren't aware of yet. Some symptoms take weeks, months, even years to show themselves. Make sure she knows to come see me immediately if her condition changes.
She will.
Now, as for payment...
Yes. As we discussed. Yukari pulled a thick brown envelope out from her dress. All in cash. Arian took the envelope and slid it into her desk drawer, not bothering to look.
Keep a closer eye on your shrine maidens, if they're that important to Gensokyo. If you knew she was going to be struck, you should have stopped it before it happened.
Yukari didn't let the surprise show on her face. The brain of the moon was observant after all. I have my way of doing things. She stood up. Where is she?
In the waiting room.
Reimu was sitting in a chair, expressionless. She was clean, wearing her usual shrine maiden attire, and wore a brand new bright red ribbon in her hair. Shall we go, Reimu? They stepped out of Aente, into the bamboo forest. The air was crisp and cool, and singing birds fluttered through the trees. Already, Yukari could tell there wasn't something quite right with Reimu. She was walking slower, less steadily than she used to. She looked afraid.
Why do we have to walk?
Reimu asked. Because I want to talk to you, answered Yukari. And because you aren't allowed to fly for another week, remember?
Seriously.
Does walking hurt?
I wouldn't say it hurts.
Reimu winced, giving the truth away.
It just feels weird. I'd rather fly.
She had been lying in bed for 2 weeks. She was bound to feel some discomfort. You will in time. Yukari knew which way to go. The forest didn't disorientate her. Okay. She led the way, Reimu stepping carefully over fallen bamboo branches beside her.
What do you want to talk about?
Yukari looked at her. Did you do anything to anger your god that night? Reimu frowned.
I don't think so.
Nothing out of the ordinary? Such as, I don't know, moving something in the sanctuary? Reimu stopped walking. Yukari stopped too, and they stared at each other for a moment.
I didn't have anywhere else to sleep that night.
Reimu mumbled.
I moved the table to make room on the floor so I could put my futon down there, that's all. But there wasn't enough space anyway, so I decided to go investigate the rain instead.
And did anything topple over on the table?
Yeah, the mirror did. Why?
Yukari sighed. I didn't realize your Shrine Maiden training was this terrible. You understand what that mirror is, correct? It is the sacred object your god resides in. By knocking it over and failing to put it back in place, you enraged them, lost some of your luck, and got hit by lightning.
I don't need a lecture right now.
But Reimu hung her head in shame. She knew she was in the wrong. You are the only Hakurei descendant left in Gensokyo. The border will become unstable if you die, and we have no one to replace you. I have a backup of sorts in place, but there's only so much I can do. I cannot watch over you 24/7,
If the god had talked to me, I would have known it was angry.
said Reimu.
Then everything would have been fine.
Yukari didn't respond to that. She turned and started walking again. Reimu followed behind her, annoyed.
What do you mean by a backup?
She asked.
A backup shrine maiden?
If only. Yukari smirked and said nothing more on the subject. Marisa and Sanai were waiting at the shrine. Yukari watched as the two of them dashed over. Sanai pulled Reimu into a fierce hug, and Marisa grabbed them both, grinning like an idiot. Yukari slipped away and walked to the back of the shrine, leaving the three of them be. Reimu deserved some time with her friends. The main room was visible through a crack in the shoji screen and looked immaculate. It had taken Yukari and Ran a lot of time and effort to clean, but it was the least she could do to quell the anger of the Hakurei god. She sat down on the porch, exhausted. Reimu was alive and seemingly unharmed. Yukari was relieved. If Reimu had died again, she would have needed to cross the boundaries of time and space once more. Crossing the boundary of time was especially dangerous. Yukari rarely did it, and for good reason. One wrong step, and she could rip a hole in the space-time continuum. It was an emergency measure only. Going back 5 seconds or 500 years required the same amount of effort. She could have turned the clock back and grabbed Reimu before she was hit by lightning. But something that direct would cause a time paradox. How would her future self know to go back in time? If she needed to change things, it had to be something subtle, something plausible from the very beginning. Like ticking yes instead of no on a residency application form. She had gambled on the Morias, just as her instincts told her, and it had paid off. Gensokyo was a better place with their shrine around, and Reimu had made a new friend in the process. She was a fool to reject them in the first place. Perhaps she would be more open to newcomers in the future. Now back to the matter at hand. Yukari pushed the tip of her parasol into soft earth and spoke out loud. What you did was despicable, she said. I have half a mind to never speak to you again. Silence. When did you become so bitter? You know better than anyone the importance of your shrine maidens. We can't afford to lose Reimu. Silence. Maybe she was jumping to conclusions. Yukari tried a different approach. I suppose there's a chance you failed to protect her for a different reason. Perhaps your lack of worshippers is taking a toll on you. I can believe that girls got by through luck up until now. But rest assured, and Yukari stood up. I will not tolerate this if it happens again. We all have our roles to play, and you must perform yours. Silence. Of course, Yukari hadn't heard the Hakurei god talk in centuries. She sighed and opened the gap home. She was tired. She wanted to sleep. I will not forget this, she said as she stepped through it. Don't you dare let her die again. The gap closed behind her. Marisa and Sanai made a big fuss of Reimu. They chatted, shared the snacks Sanai brought, and exchanged stories. Sanai did most of the talking, telling Reimu what happened the night she was struck by lightning. And Marisa was relieved she left out the embarrassing parts. Well, most of them.
CPR?
Reimu frowned.
Never heard of it.
It's really important.
Gushed Sanai.
It saved your life.
You save people's lives by kissing them.
Explained Marisa, trying not to laugh.
No, you don't.
Sanai looked alarmed.
If you see it as kissing, you might hesitate, and then it'll be too late.
Reimu looked away from Sanai, red in the face. Marisa felt a pang of jealousy. Did Reimu remember the mouth-to-mouth part? But if Marisa had been in Sanai's position, she knew she definitely would have hesitated. Another reason Sanai needed to be there.
I'll collect the plates.
Marisa stood up and started picking the empty plates up from the porch. She wished Sanai would leave and let her chat to Reimu alone. And as if on cue, Sanai gasped.
Oh, it's late afternoon already? What time is it? Marissa-san?
Marisa glanced at the clock in the main room.
Nearly 4 p.m.
I need to get going.
Sanai scrambled to her feet.
I told Kaneko-sama I'd be back before dusk.
Sanai was gone by the time Marisa returned from the kitchen. It was just Reimu, sitting on a porch chewing on a wooden skewer. They were alone again, at last.
So,
Said Marisa, sitting next to her and making an effort to act natural.
you pissed off your god, huh?
Basically,
Reimu tossed the skewer aside.
I'm going to have to do all these rituals to make it happy again.
Sounds like a mean god, though. I mean, letting you die and all.
I doubt it did that on purpose. It just gave me less luck.
They sat in silence, Marisa tapping her foot, Reimu staring at the ground. Something about Reimu had definitely changed. It was in the way she sat, the way her eyes darted at the slightest movement. She was nervous about something, uncomfortable. Of course, Marisa knew there was no way Reimu wouldn't be affected by what happened. She died and had stayed dead for several minutes. 300 million volts of electricity had shot through her body in seconds. The burn on her right shoulder was visible through her sleeveless top, and would probably be there forever as a scar. A reminder to all of Reimu's fragility. Reimu saw her looking.
Impressed? It's not my only injury.
Marisa felt herself blush.
Ugh. Well, I mean, it stands out.
And that's where the lightning entered my body.
Reimu turned and untucked her blouse from her skirt. There was another burn just above her left hip.
And this is where it left.
Right.
I also hurt my leg when I landed. Didn't break it though somehow.
She sighed.
I need to get a new purification rod and replace the needles I lost. What a pain.
Her weaponry was lost on Yokai Mountain. Getting it back would be a nightmare. Marisa thought of the hat that had blown away too, hidden somewhere amongst the forest. All lost, along with their old selves. Maybe that wasn't such a bad thing, though. Marisa had lost years of research, and Reimu had lost her confidence, among other things they couldn't possibly know about yet. But they were both alive. Both here, sitting on a shrine porch as always, staring at the grounds and chatting. Their way of life was more precious than Marisa had ever realized. Thought that she'd almost spent her future without Reimu, sitting on a porch all alone by herself, made her want to cry. Something clicked inside her. Marisa shuffled closer to Reimu. She couldn't waste time now. Humans died so easily. Reimu could be snatched away from her again one day. She had to live in the present. She wouldn't hesitate this time. She would be like Sanai and take the initiative. With a shaking hand and a pounding heart, Martha took Reimu's hand and leaned forward.
Marissa?
Reimu didn't back away. Their lips brushed. A light kiss. Too soft to make an impression, yet more than enough to change everything. Marissa pulled away seconds later, embarrassed.
I love you.
She murmured, afraid to look at Reimu.
I thought you were gone for good.
Reimu's cheeks were bright red in shock, but finally she smiled.
Thank you
She said, barely above a whisper.
for saving me.
Marissa shook her head, her heart sinking again.
Senna is the one who saved you, not me.
I'm not stupid.
Reimu grasped the front of Marissa's top.
I came back because of you, Marissa. I heard your voice in the darkness. I'm not done with you yet.
She touched her cheek. Reimu's hand was soft, warm, human, alive.
Maybe I love you too.
They kissed again, over and over, until the spring sunlight dimmed and the clouds reddened like autumn leaves.
Hmm.
Let's see.
The
And
That's
The
yes.
at Harry's request, I will
Yeah.
read the author's notes.
Yeah,
Wasn't that for the other one?
Oh, the whole book was 3 chapters?
yeah, the whole thing
Yeah.
was 3
Yep,
chapters.
that's-
Yeah, I wanted Scrappy to read the author's notes for the last chapter. Huh?
For the last story, you mean?
Yeah.
And these are the words of Hungry Bookworm. If I shout loud enough, maybe my feelings will be heard. It's almost 2 a.m., and this is Hungry Bookworm. Those of you who read The Fall will remember me talking about a sad Marisa story, where Reimu gets hit by lightning and dies. Well, this is it. Finally done after a year in the making. I originally thought of writing this in May last year. I wrote about 2,000 words of a first draft, then got depressed due to real-life things and switched to The Fall instead. Around January this year, 2015, other real-life things made me decide to pick it up again. Funny how that happens. I originally wanted to post it in late February. That was doable, right?
Nah, mate.
Nope. This story was hell to write. Total hell. I decided to be clever and do a sliding door style thing with Reimu living in Sanai's district, I don't know, in Gensokyo.
Living if Sanai is in Gensokyo.
There we go. Reimu living if Sanai's in Gensokyo. So I had to write her dying twice. Ask any writer and they'll tell you death scenes are extremely difficult to do. Make sure I didn't repeat anything in both halves, then explain what the hell just happened to the poor readers. The version you're reading now is my 4th attempt. The 2nd and 3rd attempts had about 7,000 words of Reimu and Marisa sleeping in a shrine sanctuary and hanging out together, because I thought it'd make Reimu's death have more impact. But it was boring, so I cut it.
Weak.
I think I threw out about 15,000 words total.
That's
Ouch.
a mood.
But it's
Release
here.
the director's cut.
But it's here. It's done. I can only hope it's not confusing. There are a few things in this fic I kept deliberately vague, such as whether the Hakurei god let Reimu die on purpose. So sorry if you feel bothered by the lack of answers. It's nice to keep things vague sometimes, though. The Hakurei god is such a jerk in my stories. Sorry, Hakurei god. Please don't curse me. Acknowledgements time. Firstly, a huge thanks to the amazing Ameme no Jaku/Furu for providing pictures for this fic. There's no picture for Chapter 3 because there wasn't originally going to be a Chapter 3. Haha, whoops.
Oh, great.
Just use your imaginations. No. No!
I'm using my imagination.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful imagination.
I'm imagining a whole fourth chapter where it's just them kissing until the sun sets.
I'm imagining what kind of Gap story Hikari opened up.
God dang it.
God.
Okay, me and Marisa, we're gonna go head to the Gap. Do you want anything?
Wow.
Oh, you're going to the Gap, are you?
Store.
Also, thanks to Rabbit Eclair / Unmoving Great Library for giving me some extremely helpful advice and being a great friend to complain and ramble to. And thanks to Brooke / Wriggle Nightbug for telling me to get to work. LOL.
Damn, they talked to the Wriggle Nightbug.
The Wriggle Knight
The
Bug.
Also, thanks to all my Tumblr followers and anyone who came here via my Japanese Twitter. Sorry, it's all in English. I'd also like to acknowledge the influence of Zonose's Rainfall and Chapter 24 of Wild and Horned Hermit. If you want more information on lightning safety, I recommend giving the NOAA's page on lightning a read. That's very nice. They included a link.
Yeah.
The survivor stories hosted on there were extremely helpful, to say the least.
Have you
Okay,
heard of not getting struck by lightning?
okay, this is long enough already. Thanks for reading, and I'll see you next time.
Hooray.
I just found that Rainfall Dojin, and I'm now realizing I've never read it. Dang.
Hmm.
Okay, so let me just point this one out, right? And Harry will agree.
Mm.
It is a shock I have not been struck by lightning for half the shit I've said.
Yeah.
Moving on. I already know where this is going. So, I
And
enjoyed it.
trust me.
Okay, well, I enjoyed it. It was like a literal hurt comfort story, and like just the most literal hurt and comfort in this case.
Yeah.
So I find it really funny how there's a possibility where she did just lose a little bit of luck, and losing that small smidget of luck resulted in her getting struck by lightning. I think that's kind of funny. But that's just me. It's
I
like,
think
wow, her luck is so bad she needs a John to protect her.
One thing
mean-
I do have to point out, though, is that she was holding needles in her hand, and she got struck in the shoulder.
Yeah, that's because it was just
Yeah.
luck. It wasn't the needles. The needles weren't gonna do anything. It was just she was unlucky, you know?
Nothing about
She was so unlucky the lightning went for her, and
Yeah,
not
the light.
and not the actual conductors.
Yeah.
You know, the more we're talking about this, the more vindictive this god sounds.
Yeah.
Like, this god is actually just an asshole at this point.
Yeah, probably.
I like how the author did go out of their way to explain that this was just like regular mundane lightning and not like magic lightning,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it still struck Reimu in the flesh first.
Didn't need to be magical lightning. Probably would have hit. Probably wouldn't have hit as hard if it was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they explained that. The author actually said that in the story. Like,
Yeah,
they,
they do point that out.
like they went into great detail on this. Like, Reimu can survive a lot of magical nonsense, but like regular stuff that would kill any human, yeah, that would take her out.
At
Yeah.
this point, 2015, we've had like 2 lightning manipulation Touhou characters.
Mm.
Three.
Oh.
I forgot
Well-
about you for a second.
Well, yeah, I don't really follow Touhou, but I get some of the gist of what the characters are. I get what Reimu and Marius are about. I've seen multiple. Yeah, made me watch that specific. Note the wording there.
Yeah.
I've seen a few fan animes. Barely understand any of them. So
KKHTA, anyone?
I don't know what that is.
Harry probably knows it.
I've heard of that. I don't know. I keep hearing about that.
So yeah, despite my minor knowledge of the world, I enjoyed the dynamic between Reimu and Marius and I. Yukari, I thought she was an asshole early on, but she at least has some actual soft side to her.
Yeah.
I liked all the characters from what I saw.
Yeah.
Like, they're all well defined. The author knows their voices.
We sure as fuck didn't.
Yep.
I mean, they don't have.
Voice them even
We
if
don't
we
have
did.
legit voices.
Yeah, they don't have They don't have official voices, but you can kind of just make a general guess based on their personalities.
Fanfic reading podcast. None of us have voices.
Dead silence for all the dialogue.
Scrappy narration time with Scrappy.
Well, I thank you all for providing some color, I think, to the story. It's nice to have some new readers because I need to reiterate this, we have been short-staffed.
I provided the color green today.
Hey, that's my color. Give it back. I provided the color B.
Yes, today's episode has been brought to you by the color
The
B.
hex there.
B
What's the rest of the
the
hex
B
there?
team. Let's go.
I'll trade you the color green for the color E.
Ooh, that's a pretty hard bargain you're giving me there.
Yeah, and
So I enjoyed it well enough, and yeah, I liked it. Still will chew Harry's head off. He recommends another Touhou story at this
The
point.
next,
We need men.
the next one's not Touhou, right?
well, we
The
have
next
like
one's
mean,
not Touhou, right?
You guys will chew them off. I won't.
The next one that we're reading on the show, or like just the next story Harry has personally recommended.
I mean,
The next story we're reading on the show needs to be something we need to finish from our backlog if you guys haven't already cleared that out, because I think
Right.
there's 3 stories that are sitting
I
in
mean,
that half read.
I mean,
I will get-
I remember.
Put a pin on that, Joey.
Yeah, I remember I was suggesting like what 3 different Madoka stories, but you said you didn't want to do that until you actually watched the show yourself. So
Oh god, that's
How long
gonna be
ago was
rough
that?
Going back to that
like
shit.
a year ago, maybe.
Isn't it only like 11 episodes long?
Yeah,
It's 11 episodes of pain!
It's
Harry has-
12 episodes, I think.
yeah, it's
Harry
kind of
has-
confusing.
Harry and I,
Different from normal.
Harry and I have been doing other shows in the interim. Like we have a backlog of shows. And
I don't know when we're watching.
I don't feel like watching.
Madoka.
I don't feel like watching little girls suffering right now. So
You
That's
just
the
read
best
Little
part.
Girls Suffering.
We just wrote Little Girl Suffering.
Yeah,
The best part about little girls is when they suffer.
good.
so what was your all? What was you lot's thoughts? Or what were your lot's
Cute.
thoughts?
I
Yeah,
think
there's-
I didn't really enjoy a specific portion where all Marissa was saying was Reimu over and over again, but aside from that,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the moment she got struck.
yeah, all she could say was Reimu for like 7 paragraphs.
Okay. I actually like it when characters require someone to suffer for them to realize how much they care about them, because it's an
Yeah.
incredibly realistic writing tool.
Yeah, I do like. Yeah, I do like how
And
the
it-
characters reacted to this. It's very realistic, I think.
And as someone who's had to go through that a couple of times before, it's nice to see it written down.
Right. Yeah, I'd agree.
I like that they made a point that the only reason why Marissa was able to move forward with what she wanted at the end was because of Sanaya being able to take initiative earlier on with CPR.
Yeah, that was good.
Magical CPO.
Yes.
Magical CPR. Worship me so I can save your girlfriend.
Worship me so I can kiss your girlfriend back to life.
yeah.
That's how it works. Okay. So,
Yeah, sure, let's go with that.
What was I gonna say? I think I've said my thoughts. If no one else has any other final thoughts, then I'll just
I mean,
give a very minute description of what plans we have in the future.
I mean, I guess all I'll really say is that this was a fic that was kind of just something I always saw in the background, and given the premise, I wasn't sure if I'd actually want to read something like this, but I just, like, I think just a few short days ago, I was just like, you know what, let's just give this a shot, let's see how this is. And no, I actually quite liked it. I like how the characters react to it, and how everyone's affected by it. It's not something that just gets fixed and everything's hunky-dory. You can tell that there's repercussions with this, and no one's going to be the same ever again, and I like that.
Oh yeah, no, this story had fucking impact on the characters in this person's timeline.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely think that adding the 3rd chapter is what helped with that, because
Yeah.
when we read the author's notes, it was going to end after chapter 2.
Yeah, if it just stopped at chapter 2, then
It wouldn't have been as good,
yeah.
I think.
it
Well, chapter 2 just sort of finishes with them sort of suffering in the rain.
Yeah.
Well, they
well,
just
chapter
got out of the
2
police
ends with
suffering.
Yukari coming out of nowhere, literally
Yeah, I assume.
saying come this way. So if it ended there, it's not really finished. So
I feel like if it did end on chapter 2, that it probably would have been a bit longer and just had like a bit of that cleared up. But I feel like there wouldn't have been as much time to do like this final stuff.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have gotten the CPR conversation. Probably wouldn't have existed.
Probably not.
I think that conversation was funny.
Well, chapter 3 is just a nice. It's the comfort half of the hurt comfort story.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess about all I have to say about it. And well, thank you, Harry, for recommending the stories because I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, as Joey alluded to earlier, yeah, we do actually have a backlog of stories that we started but have not yet finished.
It actually includes a Touhou story.
Yes, because Harry.
Yeah, Harry.
Harry's gonna have to read it all on his own at this point.
What have I don't even remember what I've suggested at this point. I just remember the Madoka stuff now.
Okay,
We
stuff
already-
you have recommended.
Disneyland. Okay, the two
Oh
I
right,
know
Disneyland, the
of
Disneyland one.
Yo, Disneyland?
And
Disney?
yeah, Disneyland. And
Also
the
Disneyland.
other one is Total Drama.
Drama Equestria.
Yeah, that-
Everybody's here. Everybody's
Yeah,
here.
because Gary keeps on asking me about that in like every stream. Like he really wants us to read it.
We started chapter 1.
Gary.
It took 2 episodes to read chapter 1. Like, we'll resume it, but we needed more people. And oh, look at that, we have new people.
oh boy.
So if any
Oh
of you
yeah,
are,
two people. So
if
now
any
you're
of-
part of our pyramid scheme. It's your job to now recruit more people.
God. I mean, feel
So
free
if-
to do it if you want to, but we're not gonna
Actually,
force you.
actually, please do. We kind of need people.
yeah, if you would like to join, by all means, because it's a very large cast for that story, and I mean very large.
Yeah.
What else? So yeah, a Touhou characters go to Disneyland story, Total Drama Equestria, and a Scooby-Doo story. No, I did not write it. That is what is on our current. That's stuff that we have started but have not yet finished. So yeah, we'll get to that when Tanner, Joey, and Savior actually make themselves present.
Yeah.
I can be here as often as possible.
Thank you for that vague statement.
What is possible may not be often.
So yeah,
Unless you want to stream with someone half dead at 2 in the fucking morning.
That's the best time.
Good.
To be honest, whenever I stream stuff, I like to stream at midnight, and I stream till like 4 in the morning. It's hilarious.
I mean, I used to.
Fucking don't. You don't.
How
even-
do you do that?
It's great. I'm
Yeah.
so brain dead at that point in the day that I talk about anything.
3 a.m. is the best hour.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
oh boy,
mean,
3 a.m.
sometimes
We all
I've-
know about it.
Like before.
I would like to point out though, at 3 a.m. streams, I fall asleep on Swim.
Yeah, back when I had a messed up sleeping schedule, I sometimes streamed at like 2 a.m. It was really stupid.
So those are the 3 stories that are currently being read, and yeah, we do have a backlog. We just don't have a sufficient amount of staff. So
What, you mean like 80 people for one fanfic?
I
I
mean,
can cover at least 10 of those voices, okay? Just give me a chance.
I will if you're
You guys
willing.
haven't heard me talk like this in a while, have you?
Okay, the problem with me playing this game for story time is the fact that for some reason, I can't turn subtitles on. So whenever a cutscene is playing, I have literally no idea what anyone's saying.
Yo, riff track in the cutscene. Let's go.
Oh dear. So yeah, those are the 3 we have, and yeah, we have stuff like Harry recommended another Touhou story because he apparently likes destroying our vocal cords. And
Yeah, I mean,
As if I'm even trying.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in trying to do any other form of sea spraying content, come up with it. Come up with some time. Make sure people are available. You're more than welcome.
Well, what is it? Yeah,
Right, we're all playing 100% orange juice every single Friday from now on, okay?
I don't know what that game is.
Have ever played 100% orange juice?
I've heard of it.
I don't even drink 100% orange juice.
Neither do I, to be honest.
OJ is a fun time if you want to ruin friendships. It's really good.
I died.
So
It's also like $2 on Steam.
oh neat. So that's about all I have.
What, $2 on your Steam account?
Yeah,
I wish I had $2.
What is it?
So
At this point, I've only suggested, was it Love Live, Madoka, and Touhou? Is that?
I set the patterns.
Women.
Are those the only series I've suggested?
You offhandedly, jokingly suggested like a Ninja Turtles Touhou crossover, but it was not meant as quote-unquote legitimate reading.
I didn't. Wait, what? When did I suggest that? Oh no! I remember. No, okay, that was more of a joke. This was a long time ago. I remember just looking up random crossover fics, and I just saw. I just remember seeing this like troll fic of a TMNT cross Touhou, and like it was just there was just this amazing line where it's just have fun in your weeaboo ass world, shred, shit.
Along those lines. So Harry's pushed a few things. I'm currently technically, I'm like writing 3 different stories, so we'll get to those eventually. Like, actually, I have a Mario story. It was the first thing we read on Storytime. I need to
breaking bones.
Don't scare them away. The story, I have a chapter that I finished in August of last year. It can be read on air, but I need to get a specific cast member for it. So, and Tanner's also in it, so yeah, we need him. Like, when I have when I have the correct parameters, I will ask any of you if you want to join, and you're free to do so.
Cool.
So that's all I have to say on the matter, and actually I need to get outside to go for a walk before it gets dark. So.
Bro, it's pitch black right now.
Different
Vin
time
Diesel?
zones. Wait, what time is it for you, Scrappy?
7:30 p.m., 5 hours before, as always.
Yeah.
Chronicles of Riddick and Riddick are really good movies.
Yeah.
I don't remember them very well.
The first one, Pitch Black, is about Riddick being it's his backstory mixed in with the situation.
Joey?
Yeah.
I have to go out before it gets dark, and you'll have to carry this over.
Yeah, we can stop here. So well, I guess I'll just stop while this cutscene's playing.
Cadian had to depart for a personal reason, so I will just thank him quietly in advance. So, thank you, Pedriva, Raideran, Joey, Harrison.
Hi.
And
B-Team!
That's me.
A-Team.
B-Team!
I officially quit Sea Spraying at one point. I'm still part of the A-Team. Like, actually, officially.
we have got to get more people. And I think that's as good a note to end it on as any. So have a good night, folks, and we'll see you sometime in the future.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, thank you.